today we're just going to do something that the days are numbered on YouTube, and I kind of want to touch on this a little bit because it's going to change the videos that I post to YouTube going forward. Welcome, Alt Opinions. Thanks for the follow, and appreciate you. We're slowly growing here on Dlive, something you can't do on fucking YouTube anymore, but at least not conventionally. Don't worry, I'm looking into ways of growing still. I'll figure it out. I got some time to figure some shit out here and there. But it's going to change how I do on YouTube, because last night after I finished a 3-hour stream bitching about YouTube, sure enough, I got a copyright strike on my changes are coming to ScottTheTruckDriver.com video, because I did a reaction, an excerpt of one of my reaction streams to the Fukushima disaster that was covered by 60 Minutes Australia. Didn't show their whole video. I transformed it in the way I always do by not only by viewing it, giving them full credit within the video so that you can go watch the original video and support their efforts. I even have given them glowing recommendations, but as you know, when I do my reaction streams, it's pretty much this format. My head's blocking part of it. It's smaller. If you're watching this on a phone, you can barely see some shit. You're going to be incentivized to go consume the whole video and to subscribe to the people that publish these videos and support them in future content endeavors, so it's covered under fair use. Thanks for the lemon, Alt Opinions. My YouTube is ScottTheTruckDriver, so if you just Google ScottTheTruckDriver, all one word, much like you see my username here, it should pop up. Who knows? It's a gamble, but you can go to ScottTheTruckDriver.com is pretty much the best way to keep up with everything I do on multiple platforms going forward. So if you head there, you can subscribe to the email list and you'll get notified with any new videos I put out, any new podcasts, any new live streams, upcoming live streams. All of that is going to be through my growing email list, which has been growing steadily since I announced it. But in the future, I'm going to have to edit reaction streams that I post on YouTube, editing out any content that I think will cause this, abused copyright strike system that could easily be utilized to take down a channel that is talking about things that aren't advertiser friendly. And I thought it was really interesting that all of this time I've been doing these kinds of streams on YouTube, and this is the first time I've gotten claimed by something I did a reaction to. So it's interesting. It's interesting, especially as much shit I've talked about mainstream media, even though I gave 60 Minutes Australia kind of a good review. The fact that they're claiming my shit is very telling on the direction that YouTube is going, as it's being taken over by mainstream media going forward. But I don't want this stream to become that stream. I just want to let you know that in the future, if you want to watch my full reaction shit, you're going to have to do so here on Dlive or on the replay reposts that I do in the subscriber lounge on ScottTheTruckDriver.com. It's not my fault. It's the fucking Google monster. Blame them assholes. Anyways, these videos that I'm going to react to today, they're very long, so I don't expect all of you to hang out for the entire thing. I will, pick and choose some excerpts for YouTube. The replays will be something that you can work through at your own pace later on. You can, of course, fast forward the streams here on Dlive. You can download the videos and watch, based on your time. I will be doing a full audio stream of this podcast, so if you want to just listen as you do other shit. So this podcast is I'm going to try and keep it as audio centric as possible for people to listen to later. So, that's pretty much the plan for this stream. Dave 101. So Dlive takes 10% since you receive a lemon. It shows you got 0.9 out of it. Good to know. It's also should be noted, Dave 101, that the 10% they do take does get distributed by people who have locked Lino points. I have 2,000 locked Lino points, about $22, $25, something like $24, I think. Yeah, it's about $24 worth of Lino that I earn interest on. That interest comes from that 10%. So I actually, if you take that into account, plus the lino I earn by watching other streams, by people opening chests and that kind of stuff, it's probably more like I get 95% of lino in the end, just by participating in the site and by investing in the site. And I will invest more in the site as we continue to grow, and hopefully it becomes a viable standalone platform where I don't have to worry about what Google's doing, because it's out here on the blockchain. I just have to, abide by Dlive's rules, which aren't quite as stringent as the rest of the fucking internet is becoming. So that's kind of, I don't mind them. They're hosting this platform, the technology necessary for us to even do what we're doing today. This stream would not function on YouTube that I'm about to do. I could not do this on YouTube without worrying about some kind of shitstorm falling down on me. This is fair use. I can't be sued for what I'm about to do, and that's react and give commentary on a video that is publicly available for free for everyone to watch. It's fair use under the law. But on YouTube, that gets abused to first try and steal your monetization completely, even though you put a lot of work into doing these things. And it's also used to stifle people that are viewed as controversial. So I've seen it. It's happened. Thank you for the ice cream digital residue. So it would not function without you and all the other guys out there. I do not have a problem, Alt Opinions, with, in fact, considering that YouTube takes 30% of streamer revenue. I don't know what Twitch does. And also it takes like close to half of ad revenue if you're lucky enough to even fucking get ad revenue. I kind of went over this Alt Opinions. If you're really interested, there's a replay yesterday. I did a 3-hour stream on this subject because I kind of don't want to really, because I could get sucked into that so easily right now. And there will be more streams to come where I kind of go over the large-scale ramifications of what's going on right now in terms of pretty much enslavement of us from cradle to the grave. But that's an upcoming stream. Today we're here to talk about the ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting and all of the latest presentations on it from last month at Keto Fest that I haven't watched yet, so I haven't really watched these. So you're going to get my on-the-spot reactions. If I hear something I don't agree with, I'm obviously going to say shit. It might send me off on little tangents, and those are the things that'll end up on YouTube because I can no longer safely, I know not everything I do in reaction world is going to get posted, but I don't have the resources to fight that battle on YouTube, so I'm just not going to fight that battle on YouTube. So if you're watching this on YouTube and you aren't seeing everything you like, it's because I had to edit out the parts that I think are going to cause me problems, and along with any wrong think that I have to do. So check out Two Keto Dudes. I'm noticing they're censoring the amount of subscribers they got. Interesting how they've decided to do that now. I don't know if it's just them. Maybe they just don't make it public, but it's interesting that I'm looking here. I can't tell how many subscribers they got. And I think YouTube is moving in the direction to change subscribers to more of a guesstimate or not give you the exact number in real time. I think that's a wrong move, but, it is what it is. But they're not getting a lot of views on their regular videos and podcasts, probably because they are getting trounced by the algorithms as it is. And, this is considered conspiracy theory. Even though keto is it's proven scientifically that keto works. Tons of us have fucking adopted the diet and lifestyle to great effect on our personal health, but now it's being lumped in with all this other bullshit so that the mainstream media can control this narrative instead of us little guys. And so give these guys some love, show up to their shit, watch their shit, subscribe to them. I've known about them for quite a while. They've had a podcast for quite a while. They do some really great interviews on their podcasts, and they deserve some of your listening. So if you have never heard of Two Keto Dudes, definitely it's been one of the sources of research that I've used over the years, simply because they have these great interviews. So let's get into, there's about almost 8 hours of video here. There's no way we're going to get through all of it. If I find a speaker's kind of like not really bring anything new to the table, I might skip a little. I might play at double speed. I don't know. So we're definitely not going to get through all of this today. So I encourage you, if you got time, at the very least, listen to these videos, because I know 4 hours watching a video is a pain in the ass. Sam Kit, you're in finally. Well, welcome. I'm glad you made it in. Thank you for fighting the little bit of bugs that come with going into a new platform, and I appreciate you guys, your patience and time that you've spent to come over here and participate in the live streams that will probably never be on YouTube again, just because of how much I'm enjoying it here on Dlive, not having to worry about shit. So let's get started with Keto Fest.
Barati?
And also, if you're watching and you haven't subscribed to ScottTheTruckDriver.com email list, and you want to be notified of everything I do, that's the best way to go about it, because that's a direct connection between me and you, and no algorithm in between. Just want to say that.
Over the last couple of days,
like, this is Megan Ramos,
to hear from all of
who works under Jason Fung, Dr. Jason Fung, who's a big-time fasting advocate and doctor who treats patients with fasting.
I've been a metabolic mess my whole life, but in my earlier years, I was skinny fat, and unfortunately, that's something that doctors don't quite understand, or at least none of mine did. I had my first sign of metabolic syndrome was at the age of 12 with fatty liver, and it just snowballed till I became not skinny fat, but just plain fat in my 20s. I knew about a low carbohydrate diet.
And some people aren't lucky enough to get that warning sign until they're in their 30s, or they've already hit the health wall and on all kinds of pills. So she apparently caught it early, which is
around the same time.
Badass.
There was a lot of great stories coming out.
None of this is really new yet.
And for me, at the time, it was just easier not to eat than to overhaul my lifestyle and figure out how to cook. I remember Jason looking at me one day and say, just cook with coconut oil. And I looked at him like a deer in headlights. Like, what do you do with that? So I just stopped eating, and I started to
And that's how I started my journey. As many of you know, I just started with intermittent fasting and with no mind towards being low carb or high fat, and I lost a lot of weight just doing that. I lost, I think it was 46 pounds, almost 50 pounds, but by the 46-pound mark, I was really starting to experience the side effects of the standard American diet in terms of hunger and binging and cheating and regaining weight and then losing it and then regaining it and then losing it, and it was just becoming kind of nightmarish for me, and that's what led me to keto. Was the downside of just intermittent fasting with a standard American carb burner diet. Turns out when you get in fat burning mode and you jump into fasting, guess what? You're already primed and ready to go. You already have access to your fat for fuel. It's kind of a synergy that I believe completes fasting, and fasting without being in ketosis on a regular basis, without having the adaptations necessary. I don't think you get the full benefits of fasting, especially the first 72 hours where you're going to spend just going through your glycogen stores to get to that deep ketosis level that fasting provides. It's something that you don't even touch if you do a 16 and 8 or a 1 meal a day. If you have full glycogen stores and that's your way of eating, you don't get access. Whereas if you're keto and you do 1 meal a day, and you might not meet all of your caloric needs with that meal. If you have a large body fat storage, you can just reach into there and not get any metabolic drop out of the deal. In fact, during the first 72 hours of a fast, your metabolism rises. And then after 4 or 5 days, it'll start to drop off on a water fast. So that's the thing. That's what differentiates it from being on a low-calorie diet. On a low-calorie diet, the longer you go, the lower your metabolism drops, and then it stays that way because you are a carb burner. It makes your system disjointed so that you lower your metabolism to where you're burning less than you take in, even to the point where your body's just expecting you to keep eating that low-calorie diet, and then you try and, eat what your BMR should be according to all the fucking calculators in MyFitnessPal, and lo and behold, you're either plateaued or you even restart regaining weight because your metabolism is shot. And if you look at the Biggest Loser studies, you'll know that is exactly what will happen to you if you do the eat less, move more style of weight loss.
So at our program, we focus on various fasting protocols. Really, when you eat and what you believe is key for optimal health. So we do time-restricted eating, intermittent fasting. We do different variations of low-carb and ketogenic diets depending on our patient's lifestyle.
So you got to keep in mind, while people are always whining about science and studies, they have data on 10,000 people worldwide that are doing these things. So they have incorporated the ketogenic diet in with intermittent fasting within that clinic. So they're getting proof, so to speak, that this works.
So today, I know there are some people that are very advanced fasters in this group and are eager
Yeah, we're all advanced fasters, right?
to learn something new about fasting. Something they haven't heard Jason or I say 100 times
That's exactly why we're here.
before. And I know there are some people who are brand new to fasting, aren't quite sure what it is or what the basic principles are.
Are any of you watching now
So today
new
I'm going to try to cover a
this?
little bit for everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about the history of fasting, what it is. All right, so what is fasting? So a lot of people think fasting and starvation are the same thing, but they're actually not. Fasting, you're choosing to abstain.
I think we're all
from
pretty
food
advanced on
for
this.
either health
But still, it's
reasons
good
or
to get it out
spiritual
to new
reasons,
people.
But it's your own choice. Food is readily available. You could have it if you want.
So you
but you're
should be very
selecting
familiar
to
with
not consume it. Whereas starvation
this presentation,
is
Mr. Humpty.
Food just isn't there. Even if you wanted it, it's just not there, and you don't know when your next meal is going to come around the corner. Now, the history of fasting, it's been part of human nature since the beginning of mankind.
Not according to the
I
vegans,
remember
it
when
hasn't.
I was first doing this slide. It was in March of this year, and I'm sitting at my office desk looking out the window. And if you're from Toronto, for some reason, the winter didn't go away this year to like mid-May.
I think Vegetable Police, who's in Toronto, needs to go to one of these presentations. I mean, it's right there. You could walk right in, and they'll school them how to properly heal.
It was really crazy. So I'm writing this slide, and I'm thinking about the history of fasting and how we must have fasted. We didn't have these local grocery stores or restaurants on every street corner. And I look outside, and it's miserable. So there's an ice storm. There's like a foot of snow on the ground. And I started to laugh because if I didn't have a refrigerator full of food, or I didn't have the ability to order food and have it delivered to my house,
Grubhub and shit.
I wouldn't have had much of a variety outside to choose from that day. And I'm looking at the tree in my backyard thinking, bark, that would have been my only
You had to go out and get you some animals.
option. So obviously, humans had to come up with some sort of system for
Sam Key, Vegetable Police. Oh, yes. Did you watch his video today? It's about how he's trying to change his eye color to blue. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? I mean, he's really going down the rabbit hole. I don't, whether or not he's doing it intentionally or he's legit just kind of falling into that orthorexia mindset remains to be seen. But I am no longer watching Vegetable Police assuming I'm going to learn something new. in regards to his self-experimentation and journey. He's definitely buying into a lot of the vegan propaganda and ideology, and he's abandoned logic. He's even contradicted himself over and over. Don't get me started on, on vegetable police. And it's it's a good example of a trap a lot of people fall into, in terms of, there's so much information out there and propaganda that it's hard to know what the truth is. And some people don't, I don't know. My opinion on vegetable police is he's never given it enough time to really work for him. He's jumped all over the place. He's just, I don't know. He's in a hurry, it seems. And, you didn't fuck yourself up in a year. So it's going to take you longer than a year to fix yourself. So that's what you got to kind of... Dubinsky, that's what I thought at Dave 101. I think he is just joking. He seems to be self-aware that we aren't, a lot of his audience isn't buying it, and it's reflected kind of in his like ratio. But he's entertaining as fuck still, so that's why I still watch him. When that changes, when I'm no longer entertained, that'll probably be the end of me watching his channel. Unless he goes back to carnivore and starts experimenting and then reverses his opinion again and becomes a cheerleader. But I don't want to live in an echo chamber either. I do watch multiple vegan and, standard American diet fucking health shit just because it triggers me a lot of the time.
Energy.
But it's good to have that discourse, I think, and I think that's something that's lacking. So don't just listen to people like me and them. Go and listen to the fucked up people. If anything, it'll trigger you to dig deeper into your own knowledge base to find the counterpoints to whatever they're presenting you. I get it all the time. People come in that let me know, hey, I think you're wrong about this. And sometimes they even give references on why they think I'm wrong, and I'll go look at those. And sometimes I'll be like, okay, maybe I need to rethink that. And then other times I'm like, no, that's still fucking wrong. It's just looks a little more official when this person wrote it in this book or that. Somebody sent me a fruitarian fasting fucking guy, I forget his name, in the video links, and I was just like, really? Really? All the shit I've talked over the years, and this is what you send me to try and change my mind? Alto opinion, some people give you angry looks when you're eating beef tartare these days. Oh, I don't think they give me angry looks because I don't look like somebody that's entirely stable when I'm out there eating a fucking big piece of meat. But to be honest with you, I don't go out to eat that much. And so I'm not exposed to that because even as a ketogenic or carnivore dieter, most of what I get, I just go in the supermarket, I buy the shit, I take it home and cook it, and it's usually 10 times cheaper. I know what's in my food, as opposed to going out to a restaurant. You don't know how they prepared it. You don't know how old it is. You don't know the quality of the food. You're almost certainly going to have vegetable oil in your life if you're eating out all the time. Which causes inflammation and other problems, along with cancer and being a carcinogen. It's, there's an incentive to not eat out if you're looking to fix your health.
As fat, so in order to survive, because,
Dubinsky, don't you ever miss fruit, though? Peaches are good this time of year. If I want fruit, I have a cheat day, and I have. I've had, there's occasions where I'll have a banana as a cheat. That's a big nature's sack of sugar there for you. Sometimes I'll have raisins, which are pretty much just dried fruit, which is sugar. And that's about it. And I don't seem to have severe I did have a bit of a reaction when I was down in St. Lucia, and that's tropical area, so lots of tropical fruit was given to us as far as meals, and so I ate some of it. And it caused a depression cycle afterwards, which was not cool with me, but dose does determine the poison. If you can do so without worrying about getting addicted again to without doing it every fucking day or even every weekend, an occasional piece of fruit isn't going to fucking set you back that far. if I have a cheat meal, I have it like a 2-week minimum rule between cheats right now, and not a cheat day. Usually it's just like one item on the menu that I can't otherwise eat. And sometimes it causes me some issues. Sometimes it causes bloating. Sometimes I have to sit on the bowl. I haven't had a new depression trigger since I've incorporated a little bit more cheats in my life. But still, I have that 2-week rule. It has to be at least 2 weeks between my last cheat meal and the current cheat meal. And this allows me to kind of blend in socially from time to time. And it's to the point now where I don't get re-addicted. Like when I have that cheat item, I don't immediately want to have a binge or do it for the next 3 days. It's not my thing. You know, I'll have my cheat item with the meal, and the rest of the meal will be keto, you know, high fat, lots of protein, very satisfying, very filling. And that'll be that. I'll be good to go. I won't need to binge on it. Eating 3 peaches, that's a little excessive, and if you get into that cycle where you overeat these things on your cheats, you could get sucked back into being addicted to them. And then next thing you know, you're having a cheat day every weekend, and then the next thing you know, you're off the diet. Or you cheat so bad and reverse your progress so much that you say fuck it, and you just roll with. I've seen that. I've seen people fail keto just because they cheated too much and too often, and they became re-addicted. You have to get over these food addictions to stick to it long term. It's important. If you don't get past the addictions, then you won't stay on the diet long term. You will fall right back into the standard American diet. So it's every time you do a cheat meal, you should do so in moderation, and the rest of your meal should be as keto as possible. It's not the healthiest thing to do, obviously. You're not supposed to eat carbs and eat high fat, low carb at the same time. But in terms of if you don't do it very often and you do it in extreme moderation, you're really not going to hurt yourself. You'll quickly undo any damage you do from that cheat meal. But if you're doing it every weekend or even every other day, I've heard all the stories of cheats, then A, you're doing more damage and you're not giving yourself enough time to recover completely from it. And yes, you can speed the recovery by fasting, but that can cause other issues. Like you could get into this cycle where you justify having more cheat days because, I'll just fast afterwards. I've done that. You know, I've said that to people back in the early days. We're going to go through some of my early videos where I talk shit about what I used to think. And you'll use that to justify cheats. It's no problem. I can eat that fucking 1,000-calorie cheesecake that has 75 grams of sugar and who knows how much fucking grain and glyphosate in the mix. And I'll just shovel that down and I'll do a 72-hour fast. I'll be good to go. And the next thing you know, you're doing that fast every week because you want to you're saying, well, I'll just fast it off. And then slowly the hunger will return, your metabolism will drop, you'll binge eat, you will continue to justify the addictive behavior to get that huge dopamine spike from them foods that they give you. And that's how you fall off the diet. That's a recipe, and it works that way every fucking time. Dave 101, you know how I stick to it? Eat keto foods you actually enjoy, which I do. Would you walk around town topless right now, then eat better foods? I'm not sure how you walk around topless. Is that a thing? Is that a way to? Okay, I'm all for that, I guess. I smell bad. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. We're still growing here on Dlive. Can't wait till I get my affiliate and we can add subs to the mix. It's assuming I get it. I don't know if they have some secret requirement, but according to their little thing, I've met all the requirements. I'm just waiting on them to process the application, and I think they make sure that I keep doing what I'm doing. It's not just a fluke that I hit this level, so we'll see. Dubinsky's like, what? All right, so let's get back into it. We made it through 19 minutes. I'm setting records on how much content we make it through before I get triggered.
We're very much alive here today. People have inhabited Canada for a very, very long time, and they obviously survive through winter without relying on bark.
Now, the people that would argue against this would say that they would harvest and preserve and ferment and all of these old ancient methods of preserving food for the winter. And that would be true. You would have grain storage and all of that post-agriculture. But if you thought of it in terms of pre-agriculture, you would definitely have to consider the fact that you went long periods of time without food, and you would have to live off of animals in an environment such as Canada. So, Double Delta Zero, wish I could stay, but I can't. Hopefully the replay will be out tonight. See you. Yeah, the replay should be up right away here on Dlive. As for the recorded replay, I'm probably going to start waiting until they fall off of Dlive before I post them to the website. But one way or another, this replay will be somewhere. But if you subscribe to the email list on ScottTheTruckDriver.com, I will keep you informed on when I post replays into the subscriber lounge on ScottTheTruckDriver.com, or when these transitions happen. If you want to stay informed, that's the best way to do it. And the same thing with blog posts and all the other stuff I plan on doing. So, yeah. And honestly, Double Delta probably will still be here for another while, like a good couple hours.
So we would have died a long, long time ago if we didn't really have an efficient system for storage and retrieval of food energy. So fasting has been practiced in virtually every major religion worldwide. Jesus Christ, Buddha, the Prophet Muhammad, all believed in the healing powers of fasting.
And have data, that goes back to ancient times about fasting. So a lot of people kind of don't pay attention to the fact that this is not a new fad. This is not something that's it's something that's being rediscovered by people that have been told from cradle to the grave to eat 3 meals a day, to eat the low fat, high carb diets that are promoted by the food industry and our government. And they've forgotten that this used to be, for the majority of human history, how we consumed food. The 3 meal a day shit didn't happen until we industrialized our agriculture. That's when we started eating 3 meals a day. If you go back 1,000 years ago, it's probably more like 1 meal a day. And that's post-agriculture. Pre-agriculture, it could be 2, 3, 4, 5 days between meals, depending on your environment, your hunting skills, your gathering skills. That's why we were nomadic. That's why we moved around. We went to where the resources were to survive. Now the resources come to us, right to our door, if we so choose, which, of course, we're not prepared for as far as our DNA and how we've evolved. So
we would always get super annoyed around the time of Ramadan because people would fast from sunrise to sunset for 30 days. And we would have to see them before Ramadan so we could adjust their medications, meaning reducing their blood pressure medication, reducing their blood sugar medication, because during Ramadan, their blood pressure would drop, their blood sugar would drop. And then at the end of Ramadan, they would feast, and then they would go back to their regular dietary habits. And we would have to see them again to increase all their medications.
And that's kind of an important point for fasting. If you are on any medications, it does change the effective dose of the medication when you start fasting. So that's why you do need a doctor that, at the very least, will support what you're doing by understanding what he needs to do to change your medication levels. So if you're watching this and you are on medication and you're thinking of giving fasting a try, you need to find a doctor, even if it's not a local doctor, that can give you the proper advice for the medication that you're on.
Because as they resume their normal diets, their blood pressures would go up, their blood sugar levels would go up. So Jason and I one day just started cracking up in the office thinking, oh my gosh, why didn't we realize this earlier, of the benefits of Ramadan? Is there protein being broken down? And well, yes, there is some protein being broken down. Around the 24-hour mark of fasting, we do start to...
Now, there's a little bit of inaccuracy here. from what I've seen through some other studies, gluconeogenesis is a fairly constant activity, even when you're consuming glucose. Your liver is always performing gluconeogenesis. So I don't know that this is entirely accurate here, unless they've learned something new that I'm not aware of. But this gluconeogenesis line, while it will ramp up some in some instances, it's completely demand driven. So yes, demand may rise and drive it up a little, but it looks kind of inaccurate that it should be, there should always be a flat line baseline. It doesn't go down to zero ever, to my knowledge. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that kind of line is a little inadequate.
To see gluconeogenesis occurring, but it's not just protein, as Siobhan.
And another interesting thing, let me go back to that fucking slide there. Another interesting thing is, if you look at the time frame, this is hours down here. How often as a sugar burner do you get hungry? You know, about how often are you thinking about food and wanting to get food because you feel like you're gonna fucking choke somebody if you don't eat? Well, if you look, it's around 3 or 4 hours, which is a reason why everyone's so food obsessed, that's on the standard American diet. This is the blood sugar wave that you're riding. So you'll have an extreme spike of hunger in this area here, in the 4 hour to 6 hour area. And then it'll start to kind of go away. And as you start burning off your glycogen, because you've run out of external fuel, and then you're going to get kind of to an inflection point to where you are getting less of your fuel from glycogen and more of your fuel from ketones, and your liver kind of regulates this. And then probably around, I'd say the day 3 mark is where your glycogen is gone. They're saying 2 days here. It's been my experience where I've lasted almost 72 hours on the standard American diet before I hit ketosis. So it's more like 3 days, I think. But that's my personal knowledge of my self-experiments. Other people may be different. I know that this graph is likely based on 10,000 people, so maybe this is what they've observed. I don't know exactly. I would have to see the study and read the study that they did that this graph is from. So, yeah, that's pretty much... It's kind of the gist of it. But this I don't agree with this line for gluconeogenesis. It is a demand driven. Like, say if it was day 8 and you had to do something really physical, like hike out of the woods or you're gonna fucking die, your gluconeogenesis is gonna try and ramp up to meet that energy demand, and in so doing will eat away at your lean mass. But it'll also eat away at your body fat at the same time. As your body fat levels drop, gluconeogenesis will ramp up as well. So when you're below a certain percentage of body fat, you're going to burn off a lot more lean mass, which is why it's always important to make sure you have plenty of body fat if you do a longer fast, anything greater than 72 hours. And you should have a decent amount of fat storage above normal, I would say, to do a long-term fast. So I don't advocate long fasts unless you're like obese or morbidly obese. And you clearly have plenty of fat storage with which to get through those long periods. And, I went over fat fasting and water fasting and that kind of stuff. So, Dave 101, 3 days is normal to reach ketosis while water fasting after eating lots of carbs. And it should also be noted, when you go on a ketogenic diet, it can take up to 5 or 6 days to get it to start showing positive for ketones. Because that's how long it takes for you to burn off your glycogen stores, not just your liver, but your muscles. So that is how another piece of evidence that this gluconeogenesis line is a lot more constant. Thank you, Digital Residue, for the ice cream. Yeah, this gluconeogenesis line, I believe, is much more of a straight line with humps that pop up based on energy demand. So if you're laying in bed all day, your line might look like this. If you're doing physical activity, even walking or hiking or anything like that, this will spike. And I've proven this on my fasted hikes that, it will ramp up. You'll lose an accelerated amount of weight. And some of that weight will indeed be lean mass. Because that's the fuel. Amino acids are the fuel for creating glucose from protein. And if you're not taking in protein, your body starts out with the damaged cells. It starts out with tissue that is not important. There's evidence to suggest that it will take care of your loose skin problem over a long period of time. Not very quickly, though. Definitely not quickly if you have shit tons of loose skin. But it's just over time, it starts to clean house to get the fuel necessary for gluconeogenesis. And there's a lot of changes that take place that allow that process to happen. Now, you're not going to waste away unless you go an extendedly long period of time. If you do a 21-day fast and you started with, say, 15% body fat, you are going to lose a lot of muscle mass. It's well documented through the Minnesota starvation experiment, which was not real fasting. It was a low-calorie diet. But you can see it on shows like Naked and Afraid, where they do the 41 days. They lose lean mass. They lose all their body fat. They go home and they regain it all back. I mean, almost right on the fucking boat out of the woods. They're giving them fucking shitty fucking standard American diet foods. And then you see the reunion show and they're all like overweight again. But you can see the wasting away if you watch a show like Alone, where they're living off the land for hundreds of days. Because that incentivizes people to stay out as long as they possibly can, and some people wither away in starvation, and you can kind of see the effects of that. That's why I watch those shows. It's very interesting as a anecdotal study of long-term fasting, because some of those people get out there in nature and they go weeks between meals or days between meals, and they don't have the body fat to back it up in some cases. Like an obese person going out there is going to have a huge survival advantage over somebody that's of normal body weight that goes on one of these survival trips. So, it's one of the reasons that it's a good, and plus they're entertaining as fuck, to watch these survival shows, or even on YouTube to find people that do this. I've seen survivalists that challenge themselves to go out and live off the land for however many days, and then you see some of them that just didn't have the body fat, and then they didn't have the skills necessary to thrive, and they end up wasting away, and part of that wasting away is a loss of lean mass. But there is a caveat to this. You can regain that lean mass a hell of a lot quicker than when you first made the muscle. When you first had the gains, it took a lot of work. It took a lot of working out, a lot of feeding, and so on and so forth. But once you've had those gains, even if you did a long fast and you look like you've lost a lot of muscle, you will regain that muscle a hell of a lot quicker than you did the first time, up to wherever you left off. I noticed that when I had this little phase where I was going to the gym trying to get all bulk and good up, for the hikes that I never fucking went on over the summer. So, this is something to think about in terms of if you're worried about losing muscle for a fast. That's just about, that's all you really need to think about is, do I have the fat to do a long fast? And if you're worried about your lean mass, you can easily replace the damaged tissues that are utilized first during a fast that are gone through autophagy, and then you can come back and rebuild brand new cells. And that's why I always say, if you do a long fast, you have to refeed fully for a period of double the time that you put into the fast. So if you did a 7-day fast, then for the next 2 weeks after that fast, you have to make sure you're eating plenty, that you're meeting your energy needs. You're not in a calorie deficit. You could potentially regain weight. It's the question of what kind of weight you're going to regain. And some of that weight regain is going to be rebuilding the lean mass that you utilize during the fast. That's why it works. You're not 100% magically protected, which is one of the things I do disagree with Jason Fung on, is that, yeah, you won't wither away into a ball of fat on the ground. Your body is smart about it. It takes the least important lean mass first, some of which has nothing to do with muscle. Other organs have been shown to shrink. Damaged tissue, loose skin. This is controversial, but some people do think cancer can be consumed in this way. I don't have any science to back that up, but it seems like a good theory. And plus the fact that cancer feeds on glucose, and you'd be starving it in a fasting situation, which is why there's a lot of interest in fasting for cancer. You can stall growth. I don't think you can kill cancer by fasting, but these are all things to consider. Is your body's going to go after the damaged shit, and trust me, we all have tons of damaged cells in our body. In fact, the very act of working out is damaging muscle tissue. So it's all about breaking it down during the fast, but it's also equally important to rebuild after the fast. And if you're worried about lean mass loss, you should be exercising to gain strength and feeding your workouts post-fast for at least double the time that you spent during the fast. This is how you can recomposition your body over time. It's a lot of work. Some people won't even bother with that. But that's my thoughts on lean mass loss during a fast. And shit.
Around the 24-hour mark.
I heard cancer likes sugar, so keto and fasting makes sense in that idea if it's factual. Most cancers, not all, but most cancers cannot metabolize ketones. So what happens, and this is based on a lot of the research I've done on the subject over the years, but I have no real personal experience with, so this is just me giving you my theory. This is my hypothesis on cancer and keto and fasting. Like I said, this gluconeogenesis process is constant, which means you will not kill off all the cancer cells in your body just because they burn glucose exclusively, and they're very glucose hungry. But much like you can lose muscle and lean mass in this situation, you can shrink cancer a little bit, and if you combine that with standard of care, you can make a lot of progress towards remission, but maybe not elimination of it. There are other causes of cancer. But if you think about it from a fuel and cell growth standpoint, which environment do you want to have cancer in? Do you want to have cancer in this environment where a good portion of the energy that it fuels you is ketones and the rest is glucose, which will probably not give enough energy for cancer cells to multiply and grow? Or do you want to eat the standard American fucking high-carb diet, run entirely on glucose, have plenty of fuel for those cancer cells to grow? That is pretty much what most people that have cancer are doing. They're eating the standard American diet, or they're eating a vegan diet because they think that'll cure their cancer. And in the meantime, because they have nothing, they're fueled by glucose constantly, they're providing the fuel necessary, and cancer will rob that fuel from the rest of the body. And they call it cancer cachexia, I believe it is when that gets to the point where the cancer cells start to break down the surrounding cells to fuel themselves. It becomes just so disbalanced, and that's why you see a lot of cancer patients toward the end, they become very emaciated and very frail, because that's cachexia, I believe it's called. And if I had cancer, I would fast. I would eat a very low carb diet. It would be very high fat as well. I would do everything in my power And then I would probably use some of the standards of care to kill the cancer cells. And there's a lot of research ongoing right now as we speak on combining standard of care with intermittent fasting and a ketogenic diet. These are all things that are being explored in the cancer realm. And I would sign right up if I had cancer. I'd be like, okay, where are these studies? I will go live there and be the fucking poster child for free. They don't got to pay me or nothing. Maybe just keep me alive, feed me my ketogenic diet, give me a place to fucking lay down all day or whatever. And that would be what I would do if I found out I had cancer. That would be my approach. I'm not as worried about it because I'm already doing a lot of these things. So if I do have cancer cells in my body, I'm not giving them the gas to fuel themselves. They're not going to grow. They're there. They suck. I don't like that they're there, but I don't feed them. And if you don't feed the cells, they cannot grow. They need lots and lots of energy to grow. So that's my thoughts on keto, intermittent fasting, and cancer and shit. So what are your questions here? Not all cancer, though. Some cancers thrive in autophagy. That's a true story. There are forms of cancer, and you'd have to research to find the specific ones that are fueled entirely off of fat and can break down fatty acids for energy and ketones. But those are fairly rare forms of cancer, and generally not the ones that are causing the most death in the country. So yeah, there are some cancers because cancer is caused from damage to DNA, causing, problems with cells that you get these cells that are useless to the body, and they're very energy hungry, and they want to grow and proliferate like most cells do. They want to grow and multiply. So that's kind of the point with cancer. It's there to grow, and in order to grow, it needs lots of fuel. So by default, if you aren't providing the fuel for that growth, then the cancer will probably lie dormant most of the time. The DNA damage comes from your environment, from chemicals, from carcinogens that are in our environment, in our food, everywhere. It's unavoidable. We've all been exposed. We will be continuously exposed from cradle to the grave. So it's just a matter of fueling the fire. I'm very passionate about this, particularly in terms of my stepfather. He died of cancer. It started out as throat cancer. They got that under control. They had a feeding tube in which they were giving him this formula that was atrocious nutritionally. It was fucking definitely lots of carbs, not a lot of fat, sugar, and all that other shit, along with a bunch of vitamins and nutrition that they mixed in with it. And he was injecting that because the throat cancer, he didn't want to swallow. Food had no taste for him, so he left this feeding tube in. And then eventually the cancer, while it didn't come back in his throat, it came back in his stomach. And I believe, my hypothesis is he was pumping that food right into his stomach, right into the area, and the cancer had already been there from when he had throat cancer, because obviously some cells would make their way down to the stomach, and he was just injecting the fuel necessary to grow that cancer. That's my thoughts on it. So being a carb burner when you have cancer is a bad idea. I'm not saying you can cure cancer, but I'm saying you want to do everything you can to fuck cancer up. And one of the things you have at your disposal is taking away, not all, but some of the fuel for most cancers, not all cancers. Do your homework if you have cancer on the type of cancer, what feeds those cells, there's plenty of evidence of this. Look up the Warburg Effect. That's the founding science behind this. These are all things to consider if you're suffering or you know someone who is suffering from cancer. And unfortunately, I know a few people who are indeed suffering from cancer. Thank you, Sam Keat, for the 2 diamonds. You guys are being awesome with supporting the stream today. I appreciate it. I didn't honestly think somebody would be that, like, we got a lot of people here too, 18 people. That's a record for one of my streams, particularly one that I've already told everybody's going to be fucking long as shit. I think I already got 2 videos worth of material within the first hour and a half of the fast, so. But that's where I disagree with that chart, and I'm glad that it sent me off on that tangent and we got to talk about keto and cancer too.
Of fasting, we do start to see gluconeogenesis occurring, but it's not just protein, as Siobhan so corrected me.
Yeah, there's fatty acids also fuel. Glycerol, I believe it is used to convert. Thank you. Fed up with the fork. But yes, it's not just amino acids that are fuel for gluconeogenesis. Glycerol, which is a backbone of fatty acids, also provide fuel, which is why like somebody that's obese that's doing a long fast isn't going to lose hardly any lean mass. You know, and we just, you know, you can see it. Like, look at the fasting fat man in his 150 days that he did. I guarantee you he didn't lose hardly any lean mass because he had enough fuel for gluconeogenesis just from the fat. Now, he probably lost some lean mass, but nothing important. No, not, you know, serious muscles, nothing from the heart, none of that. But if you're doing a long fast and you're, let's say, 15 to 20% body fat, you're in that kind of danger zone where you are going to lose some lean mass. So that's where I kind of disagree a little bit with all of that. Dave 101, fasting fat man would have lost tons of lean mass if he would have ate a low calories instead. And yeah, that's true. That's another thing that they don't tell you when they talk shit about fasting is you're still losing lean mass when you do a low calorie diet. You know, and it's not like a new fucking piece of knowledge either. If you look at a bodybuilder, they know when they're on a cut, they risk losing some of their gains. So that's why they do bulks and cuts to get their lean mass up. It's a cycle, you know. It's the object obviously is to peel off the fat and keep the muscle, and they've been working on this for years. So, you know, that's kind of the thing. But I'm guaranteeing the fasting fat man, if he had a DEXA scan, his lean mass loss was minimal. I don't know if he did. I haven't watched all his videos. I don't think he did, though. I think he was just doing the scale. But he definitely is keeping the weight off from what I can see, and he's shifted over to OMAD, I think, as his fasting protocol. So we'll see. What I mean was you lose less lean mass fasting than you would eating low calories. That's the truth. You won't lose as much if you are on a starvation diet. Because the difference is when you are, you know, if you look at the Minnesota starvation experiment, they gave them 800 calories a day. They exercised them. You know, they did all kinds of things. That's going to put your body in survival mode a hell of a lot quicker, which means a lower metabolism, which means you'll start to waste away a lot quicker. But to be fair, those individuals were of normal body weight going into the Minnesota starvation experiment. So you're going to turn on certain things that'll help you preserve lean mass. The reason why I believe you lose more lean mass when you do a calorie restricted diet, eat less, move more, is because you're generally exercising too, and you're increasing energy demands, you're lowering energy intake, but you're never shifting over to pure fat burning. You very often are just keeping just enough fucking glucose in the tank to not allow you to switch gears, which will lead to a deficiency in caloric intake that your body will make up for by consuming some of your lean mass for gluconeogenesis to fill in that gap. So that's my theory on it. I haven't seen anybody verify that in the scientific community. But that's why I think a low-calorie diet provides for more lean mass loss than intermittent fasting does. Because intermittent fasting, you switch over completely to fueling yourself with ketones and fat. Even if you're not fat adapted, this will happen if you do 72 hours of a fast. So Low calories with carbs is the worst. Absolutely. And it's also the most miserable you'll ever be. If you're doing eat less, move more, I can't think of anybody more fucking hungry and miserable than that, because I've done it. I'm telling you, I've done it. And I would never, ever, 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 ever go back. I'd rather be fat than go through that again. And I think there's a lot of people that are in that boat. They got so sick of that they just chose to let their health go because they thought that was the only way to lose weight. And then they go get bariatric surgery and all this other surgical fasting shit, and then they somehow manage to out-eat that. It's fucking tragic, you know, and we need to wake up from that shit.
Because I was so fixated on protein earlier this year. But you do get it from fatty acids as well. So you do get some gluconeogenesis occurring, converting protein and fatty acids into
glycerol. Should know that if you're in do a presentation.
But the more you continue on with your fast, as the hours and the days go by, your body's primarily fueling on ketone bodies, so fuel from fat rather than fuel from carbohydrates.
It's not quite that straightforward. There are some organs in the body that can be entirely fueled by fatty acids, but your brain will never be entirely fueled by ketones. I think you drop down to where you need. It's like 30% is as low as you can get on glucose before you start getting hypoglycemic conditions. But as far as the entire spectrum of your brain, which is the most energy hungry organ in your body, by the way, yes, you can shift. And that's why you can, if someone is fat adapted, all their glycogen's gone and they're in ketosis, if their blood sugar drops, they won't get hypoglycemic because their brain is being fueled by the ketones. It's making up the difference in blood sugar. Hello, honest as fuck. Good to see you here. I don't think I've really seen you hang out during one of my streams just yet. So we're continuing. Right now we're going through some of the Jason Fung camp of fasting, see if we're learning anything new. So far, other than causing me to argue a little bit, I haven't seen anything innovative come out of this presentation. Dubinsky, does your urine smell while you are in ketosis? Well, not really, no, not that I'm aware of. My breath does. I got keto breath. I haven't figured out a way to get rid of that. You can brush, you can fucking do mouthwash, all of that shit. And 2 hours later, you're gonna have keto breath. It's not fun. That's the only part I wish there was a cure for was keto breath. But apparently, that's not a thing. I don't have keto crotch, to my knowledge. But then again, I'm not sitting here sniffing my balls. I don't know. I don't think so. But you're definitely, it's keto breath's a thing. And it may cause some people to abandon the diet, especially if they're in a relationship and the person they're with isn't understanding of that, Smelly piss means you're peeing out the ketones. I think so. But as you've been fat adapted for a long period of time, you will become more efficient at using your ketones, which is why the test strips for when you pee become less accurate the longer you've been doing the diet. So, basically it becomes more demand driven, your ketone production, and you become more efficient at utilizing your energy. But I think one thing that doesn't really change is if you do a heavy duty exercise load and then you go a couple hours later and test your ketones, you will have leftovers and you'll piss stronger ketones because you were physically active and you ramped up ketone production. Because once you produce a ketone, you use it or it has to come out of your pee or your breath. That's how it leaves your body. If you don't use it, you don't store ketones. That's the thing. They're produced and utilized. They aren't really stored. You don't convert them back to anything. That's why they show up in pee. Because, if you made a shit ton of ketones and then you went and sat on your ass in front of the computer after you made them, guess what's going to happen to those ketones? They're going to come out. And it's kind of how ketones work. You don't get to if you don't use them, they'll come out one way or another. So Dubinsky, urine can smell prior to becoming fat adapted when you're peeing ketones out. Like I've said, I've never really smelled my pee to that degree, so I don't know. Dehydration is a factor in pee too, so there's that. Kidney health, there's a lot of factors in to how your pee smells and looks. If it's dark, you're probably dehydrated and need to worry about your electrolytes. But as far as ketones, I've been doing this so long that if I do a piss strip test and I hadn't just done a lot of physical activity and I'm running just normally, I'll get trace to light, and that's about it. And for me, it's more of a positive, negative test at this point. Like if I'm pissing ketones, I know I'm in ketosis. If I don't piss ketones, I'm not in ketosis. But the days of me hitting the purple color are gone unless I just went out and did like a 10-mile hike while fasted, and then I come home and I sit on my ass for a few hours, and then I go in to do the pee test. I'm probably going to hit the purple color at that point. Or if you're in the middle of a long fast, you'll get to that deeper color on that. And that's kind of how the ketone test strips ultimately become inaccurate in terms of measurement. Blood ketone meters are the way to go if you're really that concerned. But in my book, if you're getting the results you want, you don't have a lot of symptom problems, you don't need to keep checking for ketones. Do the best you can. If you're having a plateau, you might want to do a check. If you're not feeling well, you might want to do a check. Your energy's tanking, you might want to do a check and really see where you're at. But you don't need to fucking test yourself every day constantly. In the beginning, you might want to test yourself with the strips just to figure out your carb tolerance, because that's different for everyone. So you could start out at 10 grams per day for a week, see your ketones, then step it up to 20 grams per week the next week, test your ketones a couple times that week, and step it up until you lose ketosis, and then that is your carb tolerance, so you know your limit. That's the limit. Doesn't mean you want to stay right there. You want to try and shoot under your limit as much as possible, but that's kind of the deal with that. Let's see here. Did I keep up with everything here? I'm using energy mind. It makes sense. Thanks. Good to know. Guys, please help me out. I'm new here. I can't hear anything, and the image is frozen. Refresh and make sure your volume is up in the player, because on my end everything looks good, plus the rest of you wouldn't be able to hear all the shit. I hope Honest as Fuck doesn't have a lot of difficulties in hanging out. It's I don't know, some people just can't, I don't know, they don't have the, I guess, equipment for the live stream to work well. So there's a lot of bugs. We all have problems. And I'm sorry, there's really not, and, also contact Dlive to help solve the issues. They are very good at talking about, or talking with people and helping them figure out their issues. And also, I currently have a support ticket in because I've relayed these issues that you guys are running into. As far as on my end, everything's working. My version of the stream, because I do monitor, kind of like a through the internet thing. And according to my OBS, I've been in the green the whole time. Occasionally my shit fucks up, and I'll let you know when it's me. But for the most part, you just refresh if you have a problem, reload. If you're on the app on the phone, close the app, remove it as an active app from the background, then relaunch it. That sometimes clears it up. Sometimes it's an internet issue, but I think a lot of the time is, browser or computer based, because like I said, I have very little problem on my main computer or my phone app for that matter, but I also know that, I have the latest technology well, almost the latest technology in those areas. So that's why I probably don't have a lot of problems. Some of you, I think one of you told me you had Windows Vista still, so I could imagine, that could be an issue. But I'm glad it worked for you now, Honest. It'd be nice to have you as part of the live regulars that come here anyway. Oh. ADF achieved 376 greater calorie per day deficit. However, there was no significant change between the groups. There were no significant between group differences in change in weight, meaning they probably lost the same amount of weight. Body composition, lipids, or SI. After 24 weeks of unsupervised follow-up, there were no significant differences in weight regain. However, changes from the baseline percent fat mass and lean mass were more favorable in ADF. So ADF slightly better, according to this study. The flaw, I would say, with this study is 8 weeks isn't enough. Even with the follow-ups, you don't know what they were doing during that 24 weeks follow-up. I would say this study kind of shit study.
0 every other day.
So
But
you're on ADF now? Yeah, I do ADF from time to time. I'm not currently doing it. I'm not trying to lose weight really, so I don't feel the need to go to ADF right now. I weighed 196 again this morning. That was despite recent cheat meal that I had over the weekend. I didn't regain a ton of weight. Granted, it was potatoes and vegetable oil was the big crux of my cheat. As far as there were fries, because I had poutine for my cheat meal. It did send me to the bowl though. That was rough. I didn't have an energy crisis. So I'm finding that when I cheat with just potatoes or French fries or something like that, that it doesn't cause nearly the damage that, say, like a slice of pizza or something grain-based in a cheat day would do. So I'm exploring that a little bit on when I have a cheat meal, what am I having, and what are the effects of those individual cheat meals. So I'll let you know in a couple of weeks if I have another cheat. And I experiment on my cheats to figure out what's really fucking me the most, because that'll give me an idea of what in the standard American diet causes the most damage. So that's my thoughts on that. Whenever I read mainstream media keto article in my newsfeed, they always get a bunch of things wrong. These keto conferences and lectures are important. Absolutely, and unfortunately, they're not getting traffic. Look, 14,000 views. It was streamed in July. This is about the amount of views I get on a video over time. Well, a little bit longer time than a few months for me. But on the videos that are popular, and these two videos are their hits. If you look at their other videos, they get about the same level of traffic I do, which that's not fishy at all. And I'm sure they have more subscribers than I do. So I don't understand why they don't have more views on their videos. Like if we go back to their shit here, you can see that these were 4 weeks ago and they're a hit, but then you got shit from months ago. Granted, that's an unboxing. Nobody wants to watch unboxings. Let me find one of their podcasts. They got these interviews here from 7 months ago. 1.5K views, 1.6K views, 700 views. Nobody wants to do the boring groundwork when it comes to keto, of listening through these interviews. And these are all audio, so you could literally do this while driving your car, taking a shit, going on a hike, doing other shit. And you might get little nuggets of knowledge out of these interviews, They name dropped Gary Taubes and got 76,000 views, so that helps. And this is I believe a direct stream of that conference. So I think these guys have been doing good work over the years. I've listened to some of their podcasts. I don't get to do it all the time, but they're definitely fucked by the algorithm from what I'm seeing here, given the amount of content they've done over, some of these are over a year old, and I don't know. I can't tell you why people aren't catching on their channel. I don't know if they're doing all of the things necessary to grow, but there's definitely signs of algorithm unfavorability going on their channel. Because something like this should have way more play than this. I mean, there's a lot of very big names and speakers in this, and I know they tagged it. Look, it's in their fucking SEO right here. They probably could. I think one thing they should do is maybe write a nice detailed little summary of what's in the video underneath to help search engines pick it up more. But they do name drop all the people that are in there, and there's some big names in here. So I don't know why this hasn't fucking taken off. Because it's not Dr. Oz. Oh my God. Let's see what the hell. You made me curious. I gotta see what's the current algorithm. Let's do the magic search. What do they want us to watch? Dr. Oz ruled me. Keto chow. That's kind of looks like a speech, but it's probably something I won't agree with. With your weight loss solves, what do? You should do a fat fast. There you go. Or a long water fast, and that'll help kick you around a little. Dr. Westman's there and low carb down under, so I'm really happy to see that pops up on a search, because I actually do watch a lot of low carb down under. Thomas DeLauer, of course he's gonna be there. He buys ads though, so he's got a little bit of an advantage there. Health Coach Kate, this is here because I've clicked on some of her videos, and I am subscribed, so it's nice that they're showing me some of my subscribers. Ken Berry, I haven't seen him in my little keto test search in a while, but he's definitely one of the better channels to be subscribed to. Holy shit, I ranked! How the fuck did that happen? I've never seen me rank on a random keto search. Wow, I ranked. Maybe they heard all my bitching. That is fucking awesome. Not getting a lot of view traffic, but on my search I ranked. Holy shit. That's fucking badass. That makes me happy. Maybe they're listening to my bitching and trying to shut me the fuck up by throwing me a bone. That'd be nice. Keto Connect, obviously. They've also, I think, bought advertising. I'm not sure, but they're a good channel. But they're kind of niche. They're about testing out different keto foods. But, if this I think could be more mainstream keto safe, which is probably why they're getting ranked so much. Now, while I'm happy I ranked, I am pretty ecstatic about that. Why do I have 1, 2, 3, 4 videos from Keto Connect? They're great. I'm glad that they're ranking like that. But why don't they spread this out amongst the rest of the keto? Because I know there's way more keto people than this, including, the Keto Fest stuff. We got keto recipes. We got Ruled Me. Dr. Oz is ranking between Ruled Me, Dr. Oz, and Keto Connect. That's my whole fucking feed, apparently. And I just keep scrolling and scrolling, and finally we got the Today Show. A woman says she lost 120 pounds. I think I actually used that. Is that Megan Kelly? Wow, I gave her shit a long time ago about something. I don't remember what it was. So yeah, you gotta dig pretty far down to get some good shit. Keto Karma, I should probably check that out at some point. But it does look very clickbaity. A lot of people are playing the YouTube game pretty well. I'm glad to see that I popped up early in this ranking, though, for once. Hopefully that continues. That'd be nice. To have poked YouTube one too many fucking times. So yeah, But in the end, like I've told you in previous videos, the best way to search for shit now is to go into your filter here, do it by the month, and then go into the channels that pop up based on that, and go by upload date, and then you'll get a wider variety of content in your feed. You won't get the 10 same motherfuckers at the same time. And you'll find people that only have 1.7K views for there. And these are the anecdotal cases and people's journeys and stories. A lot of it's going to be regurgitated. A lot of it's going to be shit. But this is how you find new people now in keto. You're not going to find them on that first page. You find them through here, follow them, go to their channel. Like Eric Berg put a video out a day ago, look at that, and see him rank. What happened there? He needs to buy some more ads, I think. Let's see, what else? Journey to Healthy. So yeah, that's how I do my searches now, by the way. I come in, I take at least some of the algorithm out of the fucking mix, and then of course I go through my subscriptions tab to find the latest and greatest shit. So that was a nice little tangent on how to search for keto. Let's see. Let me see what you guys have been saying. I heard the thing going on. Bitch enough and voila. Maybe. I am pretty happy. Who's the guy with the beard? Yeah, that motherfucker. He's been triggered lately. Triggered at YouTube. I'm barely on Facebook, but the questions on Facebook are crazy silly. People won't do their due diligence. And I agree with you. I've looked at some of those Facebook groups, and I'm just like, there's nobody really teaching people anything. They see it on like a news story, or maybe their buddies like, I'm keto, and they don't go out and start digging and learning, which is one of the reasons we're doing this stream today. It's to show the kinds of things you should be watching if you want to truly succeed at keto. You're not going to succeed at keto if all you're fucking watching is Dr. Oz and Ruled Me. You're not. They're not giving you the information to understand how and why. They tell you what to do, which can work, but, following what to do without exploring why this works. How does it work? What does your body do when you have too many carbs? How long does it take for your glycogen to deplete? What is gluconeogenesis? I bet you I could ask that question to anybody in one of those keto groups, and it'd take fucking 2 days for someone to say, oh, yeah, I know what it is. It's kind of, nobody wants to do their homework. They want to be spoon-fed what to do, and that's no way to... If you let the mainstream teach you how to do things, you're not going to get a complete picture. You're going to get a version of things that benefits them. They're going to tell you to eat all these keto processed foods so that you go out and buy keto processed foods. And that's why that's propping up in the market. So... most likely you rank because of the 5 videos a week. Yeah, that could be it. I've been cranking out all these extra videos. I noticed an uptick in my views. They rewarded me with a nice little happy algorithm message, said, good job. You've generated 125% more views. So yeah, if I keep working at these, exhausting levels of content production, maybe I'll continue to occasionally get thrown a bone in the rankings for keto. Here's another thing. What about fasting? Where do I rank in fasting? Let's take a look. Fasting. Let me make sure it didn't keep my filter. Okay, it didn't keep my filter. So fasting, what do we got? We got Dr. Mike. We got Dr. Oz. We got CrossFit. Megan Ramos. So that's good. That's who we're watching right now, as a matter of fact. We got intermittent fasting techniques. We got TEDx, Joe Rogan. Well, look at that. Jimmy Moore's on here. Only he's on someone else's show, so that's why he's there. His channel is gone, so you won't see any videos by him, but you'll see other people talking about him, which will rank. Business Insider. What does Business Insider give a shit about intermittent fasting? Because Terry Crews is an intermittent faster now, apparently. Dorian, what? Wait a minute. Unnatural Vegans ranks and I don't? I'm pissed. This is triggering me. Why I quit and what the research says. And I don't know. I think she still needs fasting in her life. But yeah, this is upsetting to me that she's ranking pretty early on the search. What I've Learned is a great channel, by the way. They're very comprehensive, very good video production quality. If you aren't subscribed to What I've Learned, you're missing out on a lot of good information. I don't know who Dr. LeGrand is. Maybe I should look into that. So, there's fucking Frank Tufano. Yeah. Yeah, maybe I need to make more fasting videos so that I can jump into this fucking mix. So... fat fasting brings me... Yes, because not very many people are talking about fat fasting. Am I still ranking on that? Let's see how far ahead Thomas DeLauer is on the algorithm blessings. Oh, look at that. Thomas DeLauer, number 1. Fat fasting versus water fasting and keto. That video's been there for a little while. What you should eat on a ketogenic diet. Dr. Oz. How is Dr. Oz? He's not even talking about fasting, you fucking shitty algorithm shit. And then one of my older videos where I did a 7-day fat fast and talked about the difference between that and water fast. So that's there back when my beard was a little bit more masculine. That's it. My current fat fasting video isn't on here. Look at that. I get one shot. Oh, wait. There it is. That's my new one. So it got bumped way down. One of my older videos is a little bit further. But yeah, I got ranked a couple times early in the search because not a lot of people are talking. And a lot of these other videos have nothing to do with fat fasting. They just have the keyword fat and the keyword fasting, and that's why they're triggering. But in terms of the actual term fat fasting, there's only like 4 of us that ever fucking seem to talk about it on here. Since Atkins first wrote about it back in the day. So Thomas has 1.7 million subscribers. Yep. And he bought a lot of them because I watched his ads in the middle of all kinds of videos. All kinds. Digital Residue Dave, that's what happens when you buy subs to look good. I don't take away from Thomas DeLauer's method of growth. He's just playing the game. I can't afford to play the game that way. I don't know that I'd be comfortable putting my video in the middle of other people's videos as a means of growth. And obviously I don't look anything like him, so I don't have that going for me. I'm a lot older, I think, looking than he does. I don't know. How old is Thomas DeLauer? I know he looks better than I do, as far as he's got a lot more gains and shit. So that's gonna show in how seriously people take him, because the sad thing is a lot of people first judge you on how you look, on whether or not you know what you're talking about in terms of nutrition and health. So I unsubbed Thomas DeLauer, got sick of looking at his abs. And really, shirt off in the thumbnail, that's not fucking cheesy at all, right? Yeah. How much can we take our shirt up? Because this is what people want right here. They want this picture. This is what makes people click. You got the fat version and the skinny version. Although that looks kind of Photoshoppy to me there, but this is what makes people give a shit. Not this fucking bearded guy talking here. I need to work on my thumbnails. All right, I suck at the thumbnail shit. So yeah, I need to work on that. I think. I'll get to work. I'm going to make prettier thumbnails with catchy things that make people click, and maybe that'll be my key to defeating the down-ranking bots that are out there. So, let's see. I unsubbed after he wore a Coke shirt. He wore a Coca-Cola shirt? Seriously, he did? Because that would be wrong on so many levels. He took Coca-Cola's money? I would tell Coca-Cola and Pepsi to go fuck themselves. I don't care if they were offering me $1 million. I'd be like, no. I ain't fucking wearing your shit in my videos. Fuck that shit. I'm a minimalist. I don't need your $1 million fucking propaganda shit. You already paid your way into fucking every other form of media. If he wore a Coke shirt, that's going to piss me off. Can you send me a link to the Coke shirt? Because I totally want to fucking rip on him for it. Because I do know, I'm almost positive he, through his research process, will occasionally stumble on my shit. So I would love to do a giving him shit for wearing a Coke shirt. Oh, please find that link I'm going to look for it. You're going to make me watch a shit ton of his videos just to find where his fucking hypocrisy is at its peak there. Because he never really cites where he gets this information from, too. It's as if he invented it when he does his videos. So that's another thing that bothers me about it. He won't point us in directions to learn more. Whereas, you see, I'm telling you where I find shit out right here, right now. Dave 101, Thomas makes a living off selling different items to everyone in his videos. The Coke shirt was a joke. I hope it was a joke. Digital Residue just donated $1 diamond. Love the vids. Keep it up forever. Thank you, Digital Residue, for contributing to the live stream. You guys are being awesome today with that. So, hello, Keto Andy UK. Welcome. welcome to the party. We're just slowly, very slowly working our way through because I keep getting
But
distracted.
on their eating days, on their non-fasting days, they ate regularly. They didn't alter.
I will never forget how I came across you, Scott, Googling alcohol and IF. And yep, that's from the old days when I tried to justify my unhealthy drinking habit while trying to get healthy. That's how dumb I was. Yep. So we'll be revisiting some of those early videos I made, some of which are still getting views today, still viral because they support the narrative in a way. So